which are out of the way for the moment, but obviously we'll be using it later.
God, just so many moving parts. How easy these things break?
Not easy at all. Like, if they did, it wouldn't work real well. I mean, if it was even 99% effective, that would mean you'd lose the show about once every 2 weeks, right? So it's considerably better than that. Obviously, operator error would be the #1 problem of any system like this. You're more likely to screw up than it is to fail on its own. But things happen. So, you know, it's mechanical. Stuff breaks.
It's a beautiful mechanical system, though.
It is.
So you have to link in the audio with video, or is it?
Yeah. Unlike 35mm film, which actually has sound on the film itself, you know, you would see on the edge of any 35 film, you'd see several
like
lines, squiggly lines, which is the actual sound itself.
This is the movie right here.
Well, this is just
It's
sales
like
but
leader.
yeah, right. This is just like sales scrap. But yes, that's the film itself over there. So there is no sound on IMAX film. The sound all actually comes on DVD-ROMs, which you download to the hard drive over on the system. Digital theater audio controller. Everything downloads here. You see, actually, the show is staying right. Like that. Download straight to here. And then we have to.
DTS 8 channel, I thought when we switched over to in the early 2000s, late 90s?
Well, everything IMAX is still 6.0. It's not 5.1. The 0.1 on your Dolby 5.1 is the subs.
Local frequency.
But that's not the way IMAX works. There are, instead of having a separate sub-bass track, this just comes with the 6 audio tracks. Left rear, left center, right rear, center, top. And then live during the show, everything that plays out of the subs is derived from the sound system itself. So there's no separate sub track. It just takes anything below a certain frequency and plays it out of the subs, as well as the other 6. So it's a really terrific sound system that's designed specifically for these situations.
Beautiful sounds.
Yeah, everything over here on the right is film. This is all for the digital system over here on the left, which is why it says the server's not ready. Because it's not running.
It'll be ready when they bring the Hobbit in, I'm sure.
Yes.
I mean, they skipped out on the new Hunger Games just to play this a little bit longer. I know you don't say you're a hero, but you're a hero to me because you can do this. I think had I been born 10 years earlier, I would have liked to get my foot into a projection room and a projectionist like this.
Well, the real unit, the quick turn reel unit, QTRU, and the DTAC audio system is pretty much the best of anything IMAX ever made. IMAX's first system came out in the late 60s.
And then they started doing things in the Southeast of Canada.
There have been a bunch of different projectors and a few different reel units as well. These are the SR projectors, the small rotor systems. What we call a 4-gap rotor, as opposed to the GT, the Grand Theater, was the size of like a Volkswagen.
Yeah, I've actually seen
ran
footage on
one
YouTube of
projector.
the Grand Theater ones.
Yes. So this is it's a very good system. These SRs were originally designed for IMAX theaters that would be put in to pre-existing movie theaters. You'd take like your 2 biggest theaters, knock out the wall between the 2 of them, and turn it into an IMAX. So it was still not necessarily going to be as big as some of the biggest ones. Lincoln Center in Manhattan is like 80 by 100 feet. This screen's not as big as that. But this screen in here is actually bigger than a lot of the SR theaters were intended to be, because this was a individually built IMAX theater that was attached to this theater that existed.
I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like 2099 they brought it in.
Was it like feed in one side and then come back out the other?
Yeah. Everything's center feeds. IMAX much longer than 35mm. Fed from the outside of the platter, which meant no brain wraps. The film couldn't fall off of the platter, which is nice, but you have to rewind at the end of the movie. And as long as you're talking 45-minute science documentaries, which is what IMAX classically was, it's a 15-minute rewind and it's no problem. A film this long would be more than an hour-long rewind, and obviously that's untenable. So they went to the more classic 35 version, which is the feed unit in the center, we call it the brain. And then the center ring pops out of the center, replace the feed unit with the center ring, and you're ready to go to run the next show. Which works great, no rewinding, but does have, you know, the potential problems of, like, the print falling off the platter. That's what these bracelets on the outside are for. Your print falls off the platter, you're in an awful lot of trouble.
I've read stories about prints falling off the platter during premieres.
Well, this is like I said, it's 49 reel film. Each film's about $1,000. So this is $49,000 worth of film here that you don't want to destroyed by stupidly letting it slide off the platter. You also have brain wrap issues on the center, which is not something that happens real often in IMAX. It happened in 35 a lot more often than it ever happens
There's
here.
a lot less care in 35 inch.
Probably also true. But you're also, a theater like this has 16 other, 35 here is all digital. 16 other theaters, while this would just be one. And you would always have one IMAX projectionist in here running every show, while one other person might be running all 16 other theaters at the same time.
You said that there would be special training just for IMAX.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody does it a little differently. Anytime a new IMAX theater would open, IMAX would send somebody out for a couple weeks to train everybody in the staff. But 10 years later, person A trains person B, trains person C. You might be, several generations away from the original guy who got trained. So usually most theaters would take somebody. Exactly. But mostly the way it works is that a theater would take someone who had been working in 35 millimeter projection for a while, and then bring them up to the IMAX booth and have them work for at least a couple of weeks, usually with somebody else before they started working shifts. But everybody's a little different. And yeah, everything feeds off of the one side through all these rollers to the projector, or on the right side of the projector, and then back on the other side of rollers to the take-up ladder. And then I'll just finish wrapping this up, swap the brain and the centering, and thread it back up again.
How do you splice it together?
Tape, yeah. Well, if the film happens to come from them themselves, they can do anything else sonic, splicing, projection, so it holds the film together. But otherwise, you would zigzag cut it, splice together with just a thin line of tape right down the actual edge of the thing itself. 35 millimeter, your tape would cover pretty much an entire frame, half on a frame on one side, half a frame on the other side. We're just doing a thin line of tape down the middle. So you need to get your tape splicing right.
So what's the film sitting in there?
And then throw a reel film on this and wind it straight up to the reel unit itself. That film, if it had come in 49 3-minute reels, would have taken like 9 hours to build, something like that, maybe a little longer. Thankfully it's not 3D, because that would be 2 films.
Yeah. Pain in the ass.
Avatar took me like 21 hours to build.
In one sitting, or you just do it over a couple days?
Couple days, yeah.
Yeah, they actually played Avatar in here on 70 millimeter, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Didn't
What
really
film are you
appreciate
working
it.
on now?
No, but that's just some scrap stuff. That's like a solid green black. And the scrap over there on the right is because we were fixing out the brains themselves to tensioning them properly.
What do you do with the film after? They recycle it? Or
They
junk
do.
it?
Or chunk it, yeah. I work in LA. They only sent me out here for this, so my theater is actually only like 8 miles away from IMAX's post-production facilities. So we always recycle our prints. They pick it up. You can actually cut it up into chunks, throw them into cardboard boxes. They'll send it out. That melts it down and reconstitutes it as a new film. That doesn't happen much anymore because nobody wants that much film anymore. They'll probably keep as many as 10 prints, maybe for a film like this, maybe 8 or 9. It's up to them. Send them back to LA, put them in permanent storage, and the rest of them will either get melted down or thrown away.
It's tragic. Well, from my perspective, because I love film.
It is a serious expense to ship these things. Think about FedExing just a small box of something across country. Now turn it into 660 pounds of stuff that you're FedExing across country and just make 3 cans.
Do they own their own?
No.
Oh my god. Well, it's probably gonna be the last time I'll ever be in this booth, because afterwards they're probably gonna.
My first and probably my last.
Yeah.
They're gonna roll these back and put the digital ones in front.
Yeah. And the digitals, instead of coming in all those big canisters, comes in one little hard drive. No, one little hard drive. But the hard drives just show up in those boxes. Instead of $49,000 worth of film, you have a $500 hard drive that's reusable.
Far less exciting.
That's the difference between film and digital.
Cheaper to ship.
Is that it's an awful
Are these
lot.
bulbs for this projector or for the digital?
Both. These are 7,000 watt bulbs that they use for these theaters. The GT projector actually would use a 15,000 watt lamp, which is water cooled. So it's a lot cheaper. You're running these SRs as well, not having to have the chilled water running through the actual lamp house at all times. It used to take me about 4 hours to change 2 light bulbs for the projectors. These are considerably faster than that, and with your average digital, they can do it in 5 minutes.
You have to wear a vest to change it, don't you?
Yeah, we've got big leather vests for that.
Leathers.
You don't want them to blow up on you.
No, that'd be
And
catastrophic.
They're xenon short arc lamps, so they are they're gassed. They're under pressure, and they do occasionally, every once in a while, pop. That doesn't have to be it. Yeah. You don't want to be unshielded holding one of those in your hands when it happens. So there you go. That is the IMAX booth.
Thank you for showing us the booth.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was very nice. I'll be back. You'll see me floating around until.